Dynamite down low.
AEW 2020, John Silver.
Special event, as you can see, SPD.
For a splashing good time. January recruitment month for them.
Come along, I come along in the ring.
I mean, I would not want to hear that. I would not want to.
Welcome to Dynamite Download.
You know it's all about that boom.
What's
I know
up?
We started things off with that one, but we're definitely not going to start things off because what a show. I mean, I got to give a quick cheers to AEW. Happy anniversary for sure. I gotta take a
Happy anniversary. Oh, that was a great anniversary show, man. From start to finish, this card was just absolutely stacked. I think Tony Khan was like, oh, man, every time we get an anniversary, we're going to have a great show. And tonight definitely delivered. Let's start with that main event, man, because that was an absolute banger and a show stealer on a show that had a lot of great matches.
It really was. I mean, I'm always for a ladder match because I love the suspense,
Yeah.
Some kind of ladder match / Royal Rumble. It's like the countdown. That's always a lot of fun to me. And this one definitely delivered on every aspect. It showcased a lot of guys that, deserve a main event spotlight, and they're getting it. We haven't seen Pac in a while. Obviously that match versus Andrade was absolutely pure gold. And for those to, rekindle or keep that feud going on tonight on Dynamite's anniversary show.
Yeah.
And, before the show, I rewatched the first ever episode of Dynamite, and you had Pac and Hangman going toe to toe on that. So that was kind of, reminiscence of how it all started.
Yeah.
But this was, looking at this match graphic, I was telling you guys that, it's a story of three feuds going on. And then the Joker is kind of the odd man out in a good way. So it's like these three feuds can be kind of intertwined. And then ultimately the Joker stealing the show. And boy, did that Joker steal the show in a good way. I mean, cowboy shit. Adam Page is back, baby. It better than ever. I mean, that pop was with this card this stacked. That pop that we saw from Page was unbelievable, man.
Oh, yeah. He was the safe bet to be the Joker, but I feel like people were kind of overthinking it a little bit, including us. We were trying to guess all day, man, who's this Joker going to be? And it was Hangman Adam Page, and he came out and won the match. And not only was he coming back and returning, he looked fresh, looked ready to go. He took some insane bumps. Everybody did. Andrade, man, we gotta get a medical check on Andrade, man, because that bump he took under that ladder and steel chair from the other ladder in the ring, that was absolutely disgusting. And he looked like he landed on his head. So it was not the cleanest match, but man, it was exciting. It was epic. All of those words that we can go to describe how fun this match was. I loved it. And seeing Hangman get that beautiful casino poker chip at the end, and he's going to have that match with Kenny, that rematch. It's going to be awesome because he really got kind of screwed over a little bit the last time he faced Kenny. He didn't really have a good opportunity, and I think this time we're going to see, a potential title change because, man, Kenny is going through some stuff like we saw tonight, but I just love the fact that they went all in on Hangman here, and it was an absolute blast of a match, blast of a main event.
What you're looking at on the screen right now is your next AEW World Champion, period. Yeah. I mean, we talked about it. We were all at All Out. We were hoping for some kind of surprise at the end, and we got not only a double swerve with Adam Cole Bebe and Bryan Danielson debut, which was amazing. Now that momentum is still rising, and we've seen the Elite put down, Adam Cole coming victorious over Jungle Boy, and then earlier in the show, the Elite coming victorious. And this could ultimately be the final, poker chip to go all in and kind of dismantle the Elite. And no better person than Hangman Adam Page for sure. And, it makes so much perfect sense. You got Full Gear almost a month away on that spotlight. I mean, with that pop, I mean, he did not skip a beat with the fans. The crowd, I got to give props to the crowd all night. They were absolutely on fire from before the show, if you're watching that live stream on Instagram, of the entrances and all the way till now. And I hope they keep that momentum going into Rampage, because the Rampage card is absolutely stacked as well.
Yeah,
but this match overall, yeah, it was awesome. I mean, the way they started, obviously OC and Pac have, some heated rivalry and some experience in the past for sure. Some of the main moments, I thought that was a cool spot where OC tried to crawl up Archer's back up to the table to try to get that chip. But as soon as Andrade's music hit and the look in Pac's eyes, and then all of a sudden Andrade jumps on the ladder and does that sunset flip, oh my gosh, it just goes to show, like, these two guys are going to steal a show as soon as they get that rematch. And we haven't had an Iron Man match in a while, and I think this is one that these two guys need to go the distance on that Iron Man match, or 2 out of 3 falls. I think something like that ultimately needs to happen between that. And then Archer versus Mox, like that, I just love the brutality and the physicality between these guys in the feud. I mean, they've been going back and forth in the ring, outside the ring, in the kitchen at Daly's place, anywhere in between, the sack of potatoes, if you remember that. They've been all over the place for the greater part of the year, and they always put on a great match for sure. But yes, obviously we're all talking about Hangman Adam Page coming victorious. So. Yeah, and I think obviously Kenny Omega and his Stooges power numbers for sure, but at the same time, you look at who's going against the Elite right now. Hangman Adam Page being this final poker chip with Bryan Danielson, Jurassic Express, Christian Cage, the Elite Hunter, all those guys are going to have his back, even, when they go face to face with Kenny Omega. And then that will eventually, once Adam Page gets that gold, you're going to see Kenny Omega versus Bryan Danielson rematch. I think you're going to get it once they lose the gold, and then Bryan Danielson become victorious on that. So it protects them all for sure. But man, it's an exciting time for sure.
Oh man, this is a big time because we're going to see potential new champion. This is a new era of AEW. Plus, we got to think, man, Hangman is a young guy too, and this could be like that next gap, the next young champion, the next face of the company. That's why everybody's so excited about Hangman Adam Page, because he's that guy who could be that big face, that homegrown talent in AEW that everybody's been clamoring for, and it's just awesome. And it was a great potential first step tonight.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, it's great that they're going to continue looking at the champions right now. All of them are homegrown, essentially. I mean, besides the past of what we've seen with like the Lucha Brothers and stuff like that, and Kenny Omega overseas, but like you don't have any, as some people rib on, ex WWE champions. We got Kenny Omega, we got the DMD, we got the Lucha Brothers, we got Sammy Guevara, and I think it's a testament to the product, testament to the deep roster, and Hangman's return. Unanimous top performer of the night. I mean, how could you not? Before leading up to this match, I was thinking Luchasaurus, because he was so over, which we'll talk about a little bit later in our show.
We'll definitely get into that.
I mean, this is a definite clean sweep. Hangman Adam Page coming back with a vengeance, drinking a beer on top of the ladder next with this poker chip in hand. But man, wow. We were riding high on that one. We had to get that out of our system for sure.
Oh, we had to.
I was pumping up. I cracked the cold one for it.
Awesome. Yeah, because like he totally deserved to be the top performer tonight. He got the biggest pop. He had the biggest moment. Like you can't beat it, man. He was the top performer of the night for a reason, because it was awesome. I'll remember, man. This is when Hangman came back after that hiatus he had and just absolutely wrecked everyone. And
it's going to be a fun month build up to Full Gear, where he's going to get dethroned for sure. Oh,
for sure. Full Gear is going to be epic, man. Because like, are we going to get a potential trios match for the title? Because Danielson's also feuding with Kenny. So
wow, that would be interesting.
It might be interesting. We'll see.
That would.
We'll see. But I obviously don't think that Hangman wants to have that chip going, that triple threat. But we'll see. We'll see. That'd be pretty fun though, man. I don't know. I'd be kind of cool with that match.
For sure. I support it all for sure. But coming off the heels of a controversial promo from Arn Anderson, and one that was pretty trending, the words that came out of his mouth were pretty brutal, and it was pretty impressive. We've seen him cut fire promos in AEW and obviously his whole career, but this vignette, to me, it screams Darby Allin director all over it. I think like this kind of eerie, the fire ripping his tie off type of thing. I mean, I love this. And Arn saying, you're going to paint a face or a star on your face. And he slaps him right in the face. And this vignette, whew, I mean, you see
awesome.
it was fire.
It was
and
fire.
He's getting real. And I think it's going to take this father figure, this mentor, to get Cody out of this funk and really get him back either into his winning ways, or he's going to go to the dark side, honestly. So
he's going to find a deep place.
He's going to have to find that deep place for sure. And Arn Anderson, man, he's not holding any punches. He's not holding any Glocks. He's not holding any slaps. I mean, I love what we're getting out of him. When early on, when he's ringside with his coach's playbook and stuff like that gimmick was okay, but I was like, whatever, it's nothing special. This kind of character that he's going at right now is A+ in my opinion. I think the fans are seeing the great stuff out of him as well.
This has been the most interesting stuff we've gotten out of like the Arn Cody relationship, in my opinion. And I don't think it's close. I love that Arn's kind of giving him that tough love, that father figure kind of thing. And like the first thing Cody says to him during the promo, "What are you gonna do? Shoot me?" Like he doesn't even know what to say. Like,
lean into
awesome.
it.
Yeah, you got to lean in. And,
right.
the whole tie thing was great. It was very symbolic that Cody burned it himself. Like Arn took it, but Cody burned it. Really good stuff. A lot, man. It's just like he's kind of tearing Cody down to build him back up in a lot of ways, it seems like. And that's maybe we're going to see a different kind of character from Cody Rhodes, which is cool. I think that that's kind of necessary, especially with the crowd reaction. If he's going to stay a babyface, you have to give him that new gimmick. And this might be a way to do it, or this might be him going to that dark side, going to that dark place and trying to get himself back, or being the bad guy. Why not? I think that'd be a lot of fun, especially if he continues kind of being that Cody he is, but with some of that extra stuff that Arn's looking for too. If you can still be, glamour Cody on TV doing your thing, but also you're going to pull out a Glock on somebody on the highway, you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of the best of both worlds for Arn Anderson. It seems like what he wants for Cody. So who knows, man? We'll see. But this was a lot of fun tonight again. It felt like a really necessary and needed segment for these guys, because with the crowd kind of not on Cody's side right now, this was one that I thought was a lot of fun, enjoyable, interesting, and shot well, just overall top notch. I love when they do vignettes like this. Yes,
I agree. And they do them so well, especially if Darby Allin's involved.
Yeah.
But this is, like I mentioned earlier, that I rewatched episode 1 of Dynamite 2 years ago, and it was Sammy Guevara and Cody Rhodes kicking things off, the first ever match on Dynamite, and Sammy Guevara, the new TNT champion, which was an awesome match, great surprise. New belt, looks awesome, against a challenger not many people have seen. I mean, no one has seen in AEW, Bobby Fish. And
a lot of people have seen him. He's been around the world
like
crazy, but not on TNT.
For sure. And for those of you who watched the Road 2, or if you watched just the quick part of the Sammy Guevara Bobby Fish vignette, you will see yours truly, without his signature shades, SPD once again. Even though I wasn't there in Philly, this is a shot from All Out that they've used for the second time as well. So SPD was rocking. I was just happening to scroll through Twitter watching this. I'm like, all right, I want to see what this promo is all about, with Bobby Fish and Sammy Guevara. And so to get hyped up for the match, and I was like, whoa, it's me again. It's me. It's SPD with the dangly, which I got to throw that dangly back in.
Yes, sir.
But anyways, as I digress, back to the match, Bobby Fish is, I personally, I know you've seen more of him, but I have not seen that much about him. I think he really dominated this match. And I think his aggressive offense, most of the match was really fun to watch. That avalanche Falcon Arrow off the top rope was pretty great, cool. Executed flawlessly. And he really looked, strong. And for a while I was like, I didn't think Sammy was ever going to lose this match, but Fish can work, man. I think he would be such a huge addition to AEW. I think he's in this stacked roster. I think it's someone that could just put on these great matches. I really did like Fish's promo. I think he's a much better promo guy than Sammy is. Sammy's been around, but Fish just delivered in that his pre-match promo for sure.
It was a great introduction for people that didn't watch NXT or New Japan with Bobby Fish because, man, like his MMA stuff, his MMA background, he really emphasizes that in the ring. And that was so fun. I love that conflicting styles. I like that Sammy's a high flyer. He can do kind of anything, but Bobby Fish went in there tonight and just absolutely wrecked with his just fantastic, MMA style wrestling. It was fun. It was a blast. And again, I'm kind of with you where I didn't really see Sammy, losing. Oh, look, there's 2 SPDs.
It was Malachi SPD.
Oh, there he is.
That's what you get for hotel Wi-Fi. I'm back.
Oh yeah, right. It was funny. I didn't know if you were just like extremely stoic for a second because you're still there. You were just like sitting there like this with your glasses on. I couldn't tell if you were there, just like, okay. Eventually, I was like, okay, he's gone for a second. But basically, I just talked about Bobby Fish's in-ring style. I like his MMA stuff that he does. It's a lot of fun. I like that kind of wrestling. That's part of why I like Malachi Black too. I like that kind of stuff in the ring. And man, I love that he was here because this is a guy who's mid-40s, who's a veteran, looks great. Always brings it in the ring. I know that a lot of our fans, cross over with big time and they love Bobby Fish as well. I know that Lori, for example, was super excited when he got let go because she wanted him in AEW. So there's a lot of people here that really like Bobby Fish. I mean, his stuff with Undisputed Era was awesome. That War Games match he had last year was like probably one of the top 6 or 7 matches in NXT history. I mean, that's one of the best there has been. And he brought it tonight. I mean, you can't have Sammy lose after one match. He can't lose that belt. But I think this was a good showcase for both guys. Good introduction for Bobby Fish for people that don't know him, and a match for Sammy Guevara where he can go against somebody who's a very different style from him, and they worked really well together. So it was a blast. I loved it.
Yeah, Sammy can throw one of the best Spanish flies out there, man. That move, I still like try to slow it down. I'm like, how does this work? Like, it's one of those moves that like happens so fast. I'm like, who's hurting who? And it sometimes it just goes so fast. I mean, it's incredible. And obviously, his go to sleep. He did, So that's what it was kind of shocking. Like Fish was like boom, 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 dominating, and then all of a sudden this, out of nowhere, that's just the brutal go to sleep. Yeah, and Sammy is retaining. But the bigger story, obviously, this match was a great match, but we saw what happened afterwards. A complete, American Top Team coming out there, surrounding the ring and putting a
chorus of boos.
To a chorus of boos. I mean, there's one thing about Philadelphia is I know that their fans are a bunch of jerks. I'll use the best PG possible. Because when I was a kid, I mean, they've been known for having some of the most brutal fans, most honest fans. Obviously, Philly, New York, those fans, and Boston are very passionate about their sports teams, very passionate about certain things. And we heard it tonight. We heard it for the good, the bad, the ugly. When I was a kid going to a Detroit Red Wings game in Detroit, I was, probably 12, 13, 14. And they're playing Philly in the finals, and Philly lost. And I was getting harassed by grown men as a kid. And I'll never forget that. And so they definitely made their presence felt. But it was great that Jericho and Hager came back, to kind of help out their, the inner circle. And I hope that we get Santana and Ortiz to get some love, get some backup as well when they face them in a 6-man tag in Miami. This segment, I loved everything about it, man. I loved how the fans were singing and Dan Lambert had nothing to say. He's like, all right, hurry up. And, Lambert, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I hated his guts, but I love what he's doing. He's like the Don Callis. Like, you can't help but to hate him, but to love him because he's so smooth and so good and such good at being a bad guy and such good at being like annoying. And you want to punch him in the face so bad, but you love it. It's like you wouldn't want to have it any other way. And, the fans, it was so great. Jericho, you can tell that was kind of like improv because like, give me a mic. Like the fans were so loud. I guarantee Jericho's right. I couldn't hear what you had to say. And
I'm
so
sure.
they just stole the show. They hijacked his promo, and that's exactly what I think needs to happen more and more and more with that. Like
Yep.
all of AEW Universe just start hijacking Dan Lambert's promo so he can just slowly shut up and leave.
That'd be hilarious. I like that idea too. Just have the fans go crazy and revolt. But one thing I noticed about this segment, and I loved it as well. But where was Ethan Page?
That's
Tonight?
right. I know. I noticed that too.
It was kind of weird. It was like off-putting because they started, even commentary talked about it. They were like, "Oh man, this obviously like all Scorpio Sky or something." And I was like, "That's kind of weird." I was like, and then I was like, "Wait, Ethan Page isn't even there." And then I was like, "This is kind of odd," because he had a big moment on last week's show where he kind of had a bit of a promo as well, and like kind of really
An
did a
amazing
good job.
promo.
Yeah, and it was like, where's he
Chilled.
at?
Yeah.
Where did he go? Maybe he's in COVID protocol. I don't want to speculate, but
Right. You never know with travel issues or whatever.
yeah,
like,
exactly. Especially these crazy times right now, like anything can happen. But it was
Right.
disappointing to not see him. But overall, like the segment wasn't any worse for it. It was a good segment. It was nice seeing Jericho and Inner Circle and company and Fuego even coming out to help, and a lot of fun. Like, again, tonight's episode overall was just a lot of fun matches. It was like a thank you to the audience, thank you to the crowd for 2 years of being there and having to go through the COVID era and still like sticking by AEW and helping it grow. It felt like that kind of show where we got some really good matches and some good stuff and some funny stuff. But speaking of stuff that's like big deals, we have a new belt.
Yes.
That's going to be coming to TBS, the TBS Women's Championship, which is the equivalent of the TNT Championship. Looks great, by the way. Love it. Good design, solid.
Finally,
and
a big beefy belt for the women.
It's very different from the women's championship. It looks a lot more like the TNT belt, which I'm a fan of that kind of design. I'm a classic kind of guy when it comes to wrestling belts, and I think this one looks really good. And we got a little vignette afterwards where we had a bunch of contenders talking about like, oh, hey, I want to be the first TBS champion. So I'll ask you, SPD, who do you think the first TBS women's champion should be once this belt launches?
So I'm trying to think of it because TBS is Dynamite, TNT is Rampage still.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we thought about Rampage being, the Jade Cargill show, which we'll see her on Rampage this Friday as well.
Yeah.
But obviously, we saw Sky Blue cut a promo. We saw Ruby Soho cut that promo. We saw Thunder Rosa cut the promo, and Jade. The division is rapidly growing in such great depth.
Yeah.
As we saw tonight, which we'll talk about the match a little bit later. But what makes most sense, obviously, would be like Thunder Rosa and Jade, I think, still being, kind of the spotlight and growing her experience on Rampage. Like we've said before, like this is a perfect platform for Jade on Rampage, to own that. And so that way you could put Thunder with that belt, and then ultimately, which we always circle back to, is belt versus belt with Thunder Rosa and DMD, which would be a lot of fun. But as I've always said, is we need to grow the division more than just the championship title picture. Mm-hmm. And so having this additional belt, I think it's smart. I still think that the women's division needs to grow a little bit more for this second belt. I mean, they got some time, and the tournament is not going to start till January. And I think this tournament could be the best tournament that they've had so far.
Yeah.
They've had the tag team one. They've had obviously the one with Japan, which ended a little disappointed. But this one is, I think, the most meaningful one because this is the first ever crowned champion. And so,
yeah, man, I agree.
It's going to be great. I think this will be. You could easily see. It's got to be a baby face in my. Being team baby face, it's got to be a baby face person winning, and no other better baby face than Thunder Rosa, obviously, or Ruby Soho. Do you think there's a dark horse that could potentially take this belt?
I think if there is a dark horse, it could be somebody like Nyla, who comes back and just kind of, is maybe the first crown champion. We talked about her as the gatekeeper of the women's division, and I don't think that it would be a horrible thing to have her kind of have that first title reign again and kind of be that gatekeeper again. But I do think this is ultimately going to end in like a Thunder Rosa versus Jade rematch kind of thing. And I'd love to see a build to that. I'd love to see that kind of feud, especially with how almost disrespectful Jade was after she won, standing over
Sure.
Thunder Rosa, flexing over Thunder Rosa.
Mm-hmm.
I think that could lead to some really cool stuff. And both of them were featured in that vignette. So I definitely think that that's something that they're going to tease that. And if it's somebody that's a dark horse, man, I'd love to see it be somebody like Nyla, where Nyla is also part of that match with Jade and with Thunder, and maybe she could get involved and kind of throw her a wrench in that whole situation, which would be fun. So yeah, man, I think that that's the dark horse, but I think that Jade or Thunder, I'm completely on board with you. One of those two should be the first TBS champion.
What better way to reward someone with their hard work than to do it with Thunder Rosa, for sure. But someone who wasn't rewarded tonight was Sheeta, which was back on TV after losing her belt. She was up for her 50th win, which is a pretty impressive stat. I mean, we saw Jungle Boy hit his 50th win. That's a lot of wins, especially in a women's division that doesn't necessarily get featured that much.
That's a lot of wins.
And it showed tonight. This was a showcase of two of the top talents in AEW. And, Sheeta hits hard. Deeb hits hard. Like, these women are veterans. These women are they're not going through the motion. They're beating the crap out of you. And, what we saw out of this was reason why Sheeta was champ. And I really think it was a great showcase of what we saw, minus the picture-in-picture, which I always have to say that, because until they stop giving the picture-in-picture in the women's matches, I won't stop.
And this one didn't have a picture-in-picture. This was just a freaking commercial break.
Random commercial break, sadly.
Yeah, not even announced by the commentary team.
Yes, we'll talk about the positives of this match.
Yeah.
The bigger story, and Crayfish has said it time and time again, a heel Deeb is one to not be messed with, because when she went all in, I mean, she's going to be such an awesome, brutal heel with her kicks and her holds and her stuff. Anything she does, what she did after the match when she took the award that she did not win and hit her in the head with it. I love it. I love seeing heel Deeb. She's back from injury.
Yeah.
She is back on TV with her, going for a 50th win. And I think this feud continuing will be great. Or anyone who goes against Deeb, and for her to just kind of just dismantle and put some pain on them with the woman of 1,000 holds.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I loved this from the beginning to end. I think their chemistry was really on point. I think this was a really good showcase for heel Deeb, because, again, the crowd with Serena, they have a hard time with her, man, because she's so good in the ring, and she's such a technician. They appreciate her in-ring stuff. So when you get to see her do this heel stuff, and get to see her featured like this and doing like that was mean, man. You beat her with her own award that she didn't even win.
Right.
And it's like, that was awesome. That finally turned the crowd, because the crowd was pretty split, I thought, throughout this match. But once that like hit, they could be heard around the world. The hit by the glass award. And they did such I thought it was really interesting how they focus so much, like, oh man, this is going to be a big night for Sheeta. It's like, they bring out this award before the match even starts and has it sitting there. And I was like, oh, this isn't going to end well. I think like, this is not going to end well. And it was right. And it didn't end well. Deeb made her tap, and it was a big moment, man, because
quick too.
Real quick. It was pretty epic fashion, because again, Sheeta is the first one. She's going to be the first woman to 50 wins. No matter what, she's going to be the first one to 50. And seeing Serena Deeb kind of dominate the end of the match the way she did, it was kind of eye-opening, man. Like, she's going to be in that title picture as well. When we talk about the depth of the roster, I think the last 6 or so months have kind of we've struggled without people like Serena Deeb and Sheeta being showcased, and having them both on the show. Yeah, Rio, exactly. And having them showcased, tonight. In that way was just so great. It was such a welcome back for both of them on TV, and I can't wait to see where they're at in 6 months. The women's division. I think that we're talking about, honestly, both of them are going to be future world champions. She has already been a world champion, but I think that we're talking about two future world champions again, and they delivered.
They did. They absolutely did. We're gonna this next segment we're gonna talk it's a big one. It was stretched out over a long time. Darby Allin not only had 2 segments, but he also had a quick match, might be. But this interview, the sit down with JR, was real. It got deep, and it peeled back the face paint and got real deep with Darby Allin.
Mhm.
Obviously it takes someone like some scumbag, the salt of the earth like MJF to bring up the deepest, darkest secrets, the dirt. He's like a skeezy paparazzi tabloid guy trying to find the biggest dirt, like on a politician as possible. And then he's finding the dirt, and, Darby admits it, the slow, calm replies by Darby. And the reason why he paints his face, man, it's no wonder why Crayfish is the conductor of the Darby Express, because this guy is not only the underdog, the anti-hero hero, but, now we're seeing a whole nother side of Darby Allin. We're seeing
the thoughtful stuff.
Yeah, the thoughtful side, and the person who we know he gets beat up a lot. We know he triumphs over the bullies and stuff, but now we physically hear him say it. And not only is he going to have to be mentally tough, but he's going to have to be physically tough. And both of those combo is tough. And Darby Allin's he can't compete now because he taken out, which we'll talk about later. But this pre-promo was great, man. I think they hit a home run with it.
Oh, it was a home run. I think that JR asked him, a tough question, like, why? What's the face paint? Why? Like, MJF brought it up, and he explained that, it's because he feels half dead from that accident he was in when he was a kid. He's 5 years old, and his uncle died and was drunk, and that's why he's not. That's why he's straight edge, and that's why he kind of has that reckless abandon and all that stuff. He hates half of everything, essentially. Right. It's interesting stuff. And I love the character work with Darby. I think it's always really interesting and good. And tonight was just another example of that. And it kind of it's a shame that he got taken out at the end of the night. By those masked men. I have no idea who they were. But we'll talk about that in a second. Let's get into the match with Nick Camarato a little bit, because this is another really quick match, and we've always talked about wrestling needs to protect its big men, and man, Nick tonight it was a quick match. It was less than 5 minutes, and I bet 3/4 of it were during a commercial break. There wasn't really much offense for Camarato. Except in the commercial break, which is unfortunate. We haven't gotten to see him on TV a lot lately, so kind of stinks that it was a quick match. I was hoping for a little bit more, but again, I think that this whole match was for the stretching out of segments throughout the show. Darby had, I believe, 3 segments tonight, and they were all really good and really interesting. And this match was more so for after it got a big pop when QT Marshall took a shot from Sting below the belt, and that wasn't good. We feel bad for QT. I hope you're okay. I know your biggest fan, Crayfish, isn't here tonight, so I will take the mantle, and we hope that you're good. Oh, no.
From your guys at Dynamite Download, QT Marshall, we hope you're all right. But going face-to-face with the Icon Sting was all worth it. You gave the Stinger a QT cutter in the middle of the ring on the anniversary show of Dynamite. That is epic proportions for sure. You can't beat that. I mean, I would take a kick to the nuts from the Stinger to be able to do that for sure. But like you said about the match, I mean, Nick Camarato, when we first saw him against Jon Moxley in that match, we were blown away. I think we were like, who is this guy? Incredible. And then obviously we've seen, if you guys watched The Wrestler, the documentary with QT Marshall, I think that it was great to see that their relationship drew back all the way to there. But I've always been impressed with Nick Camarato. This guy's, he's the freak beast for a reason. His strength and his control, and I think he's only going to get better and better and better. And it's fun to watch him go against a smaller person so he can throw him around. And I agree with you. You need to protect your big men. That's the same thing that goes with Lance Archer and other big men, Brian Cage and things like that. But his strength is so fun. His look is unique. He's like this, this bodybuilder Tarzan man. And the Factory, obviously, sorry, I'm reading the comments.
Oh, you're good.
There's a on there. But, Darby Allin, this wasn't about the match. I think, sadly, the match got the short end of the stick. Like you said, most of it was in the picture-in-picture or commercial break. But afterwards shenanigans with QT Marshall, the factory's been doing some great stuff on, Dark, and I think their growth, and there's a lot of potential with them. We are huge factory fans, as and we see a lot with them, and I think they can feud with a lot of factions and a lot of people. And for them to get a shot at Darby, which is the ultimate benchmark, one of the pillars of AEW, as some may say, it worked. And I just wish we would got a little bit more TV time for that. But later in the show, we saw Darby
Retribution has arrived. You don't know who they are because you don't watch WWE, but they're not cool.
Yes, I don't watch WWE, but we saw some masked men, attack Darby Allin. It was a 5-on-1 beatdown, and then we saw, an F10 onto the stop. That was first off, when they threw him into that stop sign, that was brutal for sure. So
that F10 onto the barricades.
I know. I mean, everything about it, and it's no reason why. There's no reason why Darby Allin can't compete versus MJF. So I'm all for stretching this out. Yeah, they sold it well. Don't build this. I'm all for building this for the pay-per-view. Make Darby fight, Dax or Cash or something first. Build this up to a pay-per-view match. Darby Allin MJF pay-per-view match. That works. That definitely works. Or even Darby Allin versus Wardlow, but I don't want Wardlow to take an L unless you have like Sting interfere or something like that. Because Darby Allin, taking a clean win over Wardlow, honestly, wouldn't do too much. I wouldn't be happy with that. But I would love to see Wardlow give Darby an F20, throwing him outside the ring and some dominance like that. Like we talked about on our other show. But these masked men, I like this vibe from the Pinnacle. We were kind of talking about, is the inner circle kind of dissolving? Is the Pinnacle kind of dissolving? Are they, still going to be, getting each other's back, but are they, just not going to kind of be the faction like that we've seen nonstop? But this clearly showing the Pinnacle back together stronger than ever. And earlier in the show, we saw inner circle, almost kind of all together. But I think mostly these factions are needed and wanted and appreciated that they continue together. But man, Darby's outnumbered for sure.
Darby needs to get some friends, because if you have the Pinnacle coming after you, man, you're going to be on the bottom. That's not going to be fun, especially like tonight, man. He went through those. His body is broken, and those masked men, whoever they are, just absolutely dominated. But speaking of domination, that opening match was a blast tonight again.
Wow.
Another tag match, man. We got to see the Super Elite versus, I will dub them Team AEW, Jurassic Express with Bryan Danielson and Christian Cage. Good stuff. Man, your boy Luchasaurus in this match.
How long have I been a Luchasaurus fan?
Yeah, dude, I know, but he's your boy. The big dog. He looked great tonight. He had a huge second half of this match. It was weird. The beginning of the match was all, Team AEW guys. They were doing all their stuff, and the Elite were really struggling. And then halfway through the match, it kind of, it flipped. We got to see the momentum shift, and we got to see Kenny kind of get involved. We got to see Adam Cole get involved. We got to see the Bucks do their thing. Exactly. And man, Nick Jackson took some bumps, and Matt took some bumps, and we got to see Knack, and we got to see Brandon Cutler, the cold spray get involved, and love seeing those guys take their bumps because they get hit once and it looks like they're dead for a half hour. It's great. But man, the real star, I thought, in the second half of this match, Luchasaurus did so much offensively. He cleared the ring, it felt like 5 times himself, and just absolutely dominated. He was the big man of the match, and it was a lot of fun to watch him go tonight. I want to get your thoughts on that, because you are the big Luchasaurus fan.
I've been saying it for months and months and months, man. Luchasaurus is so awesome. Yeah. I've said it, and I'll stand by saying it. If I could be a wrestler, I would want to have Luchasaurus his moveset, his kicks, his flips, his power, his dominance. His build is awesome. The tats are awesome. I wouldn't want to wear a mask, but Other than that, I think his overall move sets are tough to match with a guy like him. And even the commentators, were saying that. And
Oh yeah,
it's great that the crowd was so hot for Luchasaurus, man. He deserves it. He's been working his ass off. I'm happy for him, and he
they were
deserves.
chanting his name the
After
whole time.
yeah, I think he was more over than anyone in that ring.
Yeah,
And I don't know if he has any ties to Philly or AEW fans in each market. That's what's so cool about the traveling, of wrestling is every market has you can get a totally different vibe. If
yep.
this territory works or this territory works, but Luchasaurus is pop and they're so over. I love that choke slam into the other person. He did that
was
last
so
week and
cool.
he did it again. It's so unique, like pulling him
Yeah,
down and he's choke slamming him into the other person.
you
But
never see that from anybody else. It's awesome.
I know it was great, man. But honestly, still, obviously, my guy who is on my Mount Rushmore, Bryan Danielson. Just pure energy. The woo yes, woo yes, woo yes, chop
Yep.
kick, chop kick, chop kick. I'm loving that part, man. I mean that's giving the people what they want. Those are brutals, as we always know. Like those kicks are echoing. Those kicks are deafening. The chops are echoing, and all that. And so, but also we saw Jungle Boy almost steal a show, kicking things off in the ring. He's incredible. Like Team AEW, it was just after this match, I was like, how can you top this? Like, what do you do to top this? Because when everything was just going haywire and all 8 guys were just going all at it, all 7 since Christian Cage got that brutal pile driver on that ramp, absolutely brutal. Anytime
one of the craziest spots of the night.
Oh, it just it always makes me cringe, those pile drivers, those tag team, those tandem pile drivers, whether it be from the Young Bucks or FTR. It always makes me cringe. I'm just like, oof. But I know
any move that involves your neck, to me, gets me.
I don't like it. I don't like it. I mean, it was meaningful and there's a place for stuff like that.
Yeah.
But to me, it's just like, whew.
It always gives me like the willies a little bit where I'm like, I've landed on my neck before doing stuff and it is not fun. Like I was ice skating once and I landed on my, like fell backwards and landed on my neck and lost like feeling for like 5 minutes. And it was like the most terrifying thing ever. I couldn't imagine like being dropped, like obviously they know what they're doing. The professionals, they make it look real. But man, like I wouldn't even want to take it, even if I was getting it from like the Undertaker, who's done that a million times. I'm good.
It's not worth the risk for me, but
no.
I mean, everyone risk it all to give the people what they want. I mean,
all the time.
This match was first. I loved how they did. I mean, entrances are part of the whole storytelling. Yeah. But I liked how they started the show without the entrances. You shaved off. You gained 10 minutes. You gained that Derby match. You gained this other stuff. Whatever it may be.
You didn't have to cut the main event.
I'll support it. Drive more people to the social. It's smart. Okay, every week we're gonna start the match off with, or the show off with a banger match, but they're gonna be in the ring. Sometimes they do it on Rampage. They only do one entrance. I support that. Even though obviously I want to see everyone's entrances is great. You obviously you got Jurassic Express. Everyone loves Bryan Danielson, Adam Cole, Bebe, Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Christian Cage. Like all these entrances are ones that like you love to watch, and so. I'm all for the first match, which they've been giving the first match almost like the co-main event, no entrances, so you can save that time time for a women's match or an additional match or an additional segment for us. So I like
especially
that a lot.
They pack it up like they do, man. They pack this show like crazy,
jam-packed show. But the ending, man, this is exactly where the tie-in that we saw at the main event, the Elite just, that 4-way BTE trigger to end it was absolutely brutal. And now essentially, the Elite are marked men with Hangman Adam Page with that casino chip, getting that match. So quickly Team AEW is growing against that as well. But the crowd is so over for so many of these guys, especially Adam Cole, man. I'm all for, Crayfish called it, if Adam Cole and the Young Bucks kind of break away versus Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers eventually down the line or something like that, that would be pretty sweet. If we see that in 4 or 6 months or whatever, when they're kind of done with Team AEW, that would be very intriguing.
Oh, it'd be a blast, and he's so over.
Yes.
Obviously part of it's because of his popularity in NXT, but he's just so charismatic. Like, man, Adam Cole's one of those guys where it's like he sells you on himself so well, whether it's in the ring or on the mic, and he's one of those kind of guys where he delivers it so well where he could like tell you to F off, and you're still gonna be like, yeah, okay, cool, that was a great promo, man. Like, you're great. You're just really top notch. And I love what they did tonight. I loved the end of the match. I thought the quad BTE trigger was so funny and just insane
brutal.
and looked painful. And it's like those guys, whenever they do that, man, I'm like, you guys are dirty dogs. Like, you guys are doing some brutal stuff. And I thought this was a great opener, great way to start the show. You can't really beat having the Elite in any match. And when you have this much talent, it's not possible for the match to be at least not entertaining. When you have that much talent in the ring together, you got young stars, world champions, you got tag champions, you got, mid champions, you got all this stuff, and everybody's combined and everybody's having a great time. And it was a little hard to keep up at times, I would say, because there was a lot of stuff going on. But outside of that, right, exactly. But we've come to kind of expect that from the Elite, where it's kind of hard to keep track of everything going on. But overall, man, you couldn't pick a better way to open up this show, especially with what the ending we got. That main event was so epic, and I think that there was enough time in between. They had to have been first and last because there was enough time in between for a lot of other stuff to get in, and I think the crowd probably needed a little bit of a break after this opener, to be completely honest with you.
Oh yeah, I think they did too, for sure, because it came out hot. They were on fire with that opener.
Yeah.
A lot was going on for sure. There's so many great feuds going on. The MJF, Darby, the Inner Circle, and the Top Flight, which is I'm digging that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And Jericho looked like $1 million, man. He was in great shape, man. And CM Punk has been riding this wave for sure. But what I was taken away from All Out the most was that tag team match in the Lucha Brothers, and we're going to see them go toe to toe with the Acclaimed, who everyone loves the Acclaimed, and we know that we love the Acclaimed, that's for sure, here at Dynamite Download. But we Rampage, as we're shifting to there, we got Rampage Rundown. Crayfish will be back for Rampage Rundown.
We're switching spots this week.
So we got Rampage Rundown. I can see if I can play this. So we got CM Punk versus Daniel Garcia, which was great. CM Punk back in the ring. We're gonna
with a young guy.
More matches. Awesome. Sky Blue, which we saw her get so over at All Out versus Jade Cargill. And we got the Philly Street Fight with Machine Brian Cage and Ricky Starks, and the Lucha Brothers, the tag team champions, versus the Acclaimed right there. Yes. And quickly, I didn't realize the Acclaimed were going to be rising that to the top like that. And so they are the number one overall tag team right now. So of which this is the first Rampage. We are getting 4 matches. Plus, I think now they're really starting to stack the card. I mean, this card to me is excellent. And 4 great matches. Sky Blue, it was a lot of fun when we were there at Rampage. The fans were so over for her, and Tony Khan comes out. It was a cool special moment. Tony Khan comes out. He's like, "How would you like to be in the Battle Royal?" And she was like freaking out, and they were cheering her way more than Red Velvet because she was going against Red Velvet. But of these 4 matches, which one are you looking forward to the most? I mean, it's a tough one.
Yeah, there's not really a bad choice, but I will say that I'm probably most excited about the tag match. Okay. I love the Acclaimed. I'm like everybody else. I love the Acclaimed. And exactly.
Throw them up, everyone.
Throw them all up. And you guys all know. You guys are all doing it. And the Lucha Bros, man, like, you can't beat that. You can't beat having, like, the Acclaimed who are genuinely probably the most entertaining tag team around right now with their pre-match stuff, and like I'm not even talking in the ring, just their personas are so entertaining and interesting. I love those guys. And then you got the Lucha Brothers, who are 2 of the best tag team wrestlers in the world, the champions. And man, like, What a banger. Like, I would want to see that on a pay-per-view. I want to see the Acclaim versus these guys on pay-per-view. Like, this
Yeah.
is another free TV, like, Rampage show on a match with, or on a card with 4 big matches. Man, I'm excited for all of them, but that's probably the one I'm looking forward to the most. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you. Those are 2 teams I really love.
Yeah.
Especially, I've always been a huge Lucha Brothers mark, and I will embrace that. I will take that to the grave on that. I
Yeah.
love the Lucha Brothers, and so they
deserve
don't put on
marks.
a
They're
bad
really
match.
good.
Yeah, they do not put on a bad match at all.
No.
And at first I was not a Acclaim fan, but they quickly went over, especially with Crayfish as an influence. Man, that guy is a good salesman. I could tell you that, man.
Yep.
He could sell a ketchup popsicle to a woman in white gloves. That's for sure. But I'm more intrigued how overall match, that tag match for sure, but I'm really intrigued how this Cage
Yep.
and Starks street fight's going to go. Is it going to be another one of those where Ricky Starks is a coward and he has Hook and Powerhouse Hobbs kind of attack him because essentially it's a no DQ, anything goes, and then they just kind of put him down again. How this one's going to play out. So I'm intrigued story for that. And then for pure wrestling, definitely the Lucha Brothers, and it's crazy to say that with CM Punk on the card.
Right. I mean, I think we're all excited about Punk versus Garcia. It's just a different kind of vibe in that match.
Sure.
Daniel Garcia
Yeah.
is, a young early 20s guy just breaking in. He's been absolutely awesome on the mic, and his ring stuff's been great too. But
Sure.
I think this is going to be a different vibe match. This is a showcase for him with CM Punk.
Yep.
We're obviously getting eyes with CM Punk coming in for Garcia. We're going to show this kid off, and I'm excited about that match in that regard. I'm excited for him because it's a big stage. It'll be the biggest stage of his career. And that's awesome.
Of course.
And I'm super stoked for him. And I think that he's going to put on an absolute banger because that's what he does. He has good matches. That's why he's in the position he's in.
Yeah.
They recognize it. They see like this kid's young, he's ready to go, and we're gonna kind of put him in the deep end here and see if he can swim.
Right.
And they're not afraid. One thing I appreciate about Tony Khan is that he's not afraid to kind of push his wrestlers in the deep end like that and see who's going to be the guy there. Imagine if he didn't go in on Darby Allin, if he didn't go in on him like that, we wouldn't have the great character we have, or MJF, all these guys, or Jungle Boy, all these young, early to mid 20s, wrestlers that look absolutely fantastic. Britt Baker's another one where, Britt easily could have not been given the time she was given, and and she looks like she's the biggest star in the company right now. So it's nuts, man. Like, they're doing such a good job building up this young talent, this young roster, and I'm stoked for Garcia in this regard. I'm so excited about this match. But again, all of these matches I'm excited for. We got to see Sky Blue and make your AEW debut. And that was really cool because that crowd was really hot for that match. They give her one of the biggest pops of the night. That Chicago crowd was awesome. But I'm with you with Cage and Starks because I want to see if we start seeing a bit of a push for one of these guys. They've kind of been feuding with each other for a long time, the better part of a year now. And I'm curious to see, hey, or is Brian Cage going to get a push? Is Ricky Starks going to get pushed more than, this just FTW belt? Is he going to get in the ring more? I know he's been doing commentary as well. So, hopefully his neck's all the way healed, ready to go, and he can kind of get back on a full schedule. But man, this Rampage card is going to be a lot of fun.
I agree. And we just saw that in the chat that Lori, we love you, Lori, that AEW announced that Bobby Fish is all elite. And so that is breaking news, hot off the press. That is well-deserved. As we talked about earlier in the show, I think this is a huge addition. I think he could have a nice singles run for a while and then, get a tag partner or, join a faction or something like that.
He was in the Undisputed Era, man. So we'll see. He's got history with a lot of guys on this roster. So
I love it. I support it completely.
Yeah.
And that is a great, thank you for sharing that in the chat. We love hearing you guys all in the chat as well. We're going to wrap things up for Dynamite Download episode 54. It's crazy to think about that. Join us again on Friday for Rampage Rundown. Crayfish will be there as well. So we want to see you guys after Rampage. A lot to talk about with those 4 matches. And so we hope to check you guys out on Friday. You guys know where to find us here online. We love chatting with you. So thank you guys
Right
so
above,
much
you
for
can see our
joining us.
handles.
Yes. Or right there on the show.
Oh, right there. Who were
yes.
those guys in the black mask, dude?
I know.
I still don't know who
were
those guys were.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Happy anniversary to AEW, second anniversary. Can't wait to be talking about this through the third anniversary. So we love you
around
all.
episode 100 of our show.
That's right. I know. It'll probably, it'll be 100 and whatever too at that point.
Something like
But
that.
thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you guys down the road.